Hello, everybody. Today we are showing featured entries from the May Art Dare, and we are also announcing the July Art Dare. Welcome to Art Prof. We are a global art party. The May Art Dare was to create artwork about fairies, gnomes, elves, and trolls. Let's take a look at the first artist, who is Nancy, who created this beautiful landscape with gigantic mushrooms. And Nancy talks about sometimes we think we're never going to get where we're going. There's so many fears, anxieties. If we keep going, keep reaching for the light, we will get there. So this is a composition which is proof that if we keep going, keep practicing, we can make progress. Nancy did thumbnails, color palettes, sampled tones and values, practiced gestures, different brushstrokes. And so we can see here the progression of all of those stages that Nancy went through, creating that color palette, testing out different textures. And then we also have the fantasy landscape. What do you think, Deepti?
Yeah, it was so fun, Nancy, talking to you about this piece and its different stages in the art club on Discord. And I think the hard work you've put into really figuring out all of the various elements is coming together so nicely. I love how you thought even about how the composition ties into the narrative, how the colors tie into the narrative. I think it has such a strong technical and narrative combination, which is probably why it's so successful.
I just love the various stages because if we start from the beginning, you can see the initial gesture. This drawing only took 15 minutes to create, and then working out the color palette. This is a lot of work. And Nancy's been making these just delicious color charts in Art Club that are just so wonderful. And I know the depth of experimentation that's happening in here. And just looking at what happened here earlier with the collage, like you wouldn't even recognize this in the final piece until you start looking really carefully. So Deepti, for me, this feels like a piece that just has so many rich layers of colors and textures.
Yeah, I think something that's really wonderful too, Nancy, is that you didn't feel like you needed us to see all of those layers so clearly in the final piece. Like the fact that there are those music notes and those handwritten elements that fall into the background, but you allow them to be discreet and hidden and really part of the whole piece as a whole, rather than feeling like, because that is such an interesting texture and part of it that like a lot of people might want it to stand out, and I think that would really distract from the whole piece. Rather, you let it live and create such a whimsical space and let it be a part of the whole and know what place it deserves, which I think is so successful here because it gives us something to, it's almost like a reward as the audience to be like, oh my god, and look at that, look at that, look at that. Like it encourages us to spend time with the piece.
Tell us in the comments, what are you doing this weekend? Because George says when you're retired, every day is Saturday. And we also have, oh, hey, Dave. Oh, no, this is not David. This is DB. Oh, okay. I was like, I sounds familiar, but I don't know about that first name. Okay, fantastic. Tell us in the comments, what are you doing this weekend? I am teaching our first 6-hour live session workshop. We're calling it Workshop Weekend, and it is 6 hours of time to spend on the human figure, which is, I'm very biased, my favorite topic.
I was
Okay.
gonna say you can spend 6 hours on the human figure, no problem.
I could spend 5,000. It's fine. Well, speaking of DB, this is by DB. Artist statement says, I was going for something that might be in a children's storybook. I hope this makes your imagination run wild with possible scenarios. Well, what do you think?
I think it's so perfect for a children's storybook. It has that whimsical, really enticing character design and world building and energy behind the brushstrokes, which I think are so successful when it's coming to creating children's books. There's actually an Instagram video that I made so long ago. I found this Frankenstein book on a stoop, and I forget the name of the artist. I'll probably, if you join us in the post live streams, I'll figure out the name of it and tell you. But it reminds me so much of those illustrations. But I just think the colors, the facial expressions, all the details, they're just so joyous. It reminds me of like where the wild things are. And I think that's key with children's illustrations, is that they should kind of evoke curiosity, whimsy, joy. And I think this is a perfect art dare also to dive into something like that.
And I love the mixed media, the white that goes on top of the marker, and there's a watercolor-like effect. I don't know, DB, if you used watercolor on it, but it has the feeling of watercolor, even though I suspect most of this is done with colored markers. I just think the expressions are so great. Even this one guy.
Yeah, little tooth.
And you know something? He's actually the most simple out of all the characters. But there's something about the eyes. They're like all weird and wonky. He's only got like one tooth.
A little underbite. So cute.
It's so funny.
I love
And then
it.
the fact that the environment is so involved really creates a context for the creatures to exist within. I really feel like there's this big pocket of space that's part of the cave, but then look at all these beautiful dots at the top.
Even behind the fairy, there's some like tannish purple dots behind her, and that adds so much to the depth of that space over there. Like without that, I think it would not be as clear, or just that energy behind that fairy wouldn't be as varied and as deep, I think.
Blue Wren says, I love those cheeky gnomes, goblins, and fairies on the side. You know something? I didn't even see them at first. I immediately saw the 3 trolls, and it took me time to discover them on the left-hand side. And then when you do, it's just such a delight to stumble upon that.
Yeah, and they are kind of hiding. Like, I think part of the joy of children's books is what is the narrative in the image that you're looking at, you know? And I think it's great that we have to spend time with the piece to discover them, and then that adds so much to the story there.
Lisa says, I love seeing the faraway mountains. And George says, the characters are so imaginative. Okay, the next artist we are going to take a look at is Alisa, who is here live in the chat. And thank you, everybody, for cheering each other on. I just love that about these streams, the way you guys all support each other. So Lisa explains, this month's dare was a fun excursion, and I tried several approaches. I love prompts that let me stretch my skills. Well, Lisa did several pieces, so let's go through all of them first, and then we can come back and look at specific pieces. I think what's fantastic is every one of these pieces is so different stylistically, in terms of the subject matter. We have interior spaces, exterior spaces, a lot of food and cheese going on. What do you think, Deepti?
Yeah, it's amazing. I feel like if I saw all of these pieces at first glance, I wouldn't even think the same person made them, because you are exploring in such great capacities with just mediums, like you said, content, also just the way you're attending to the mediums. Like in this piece, it feels so delicate. In some other pieces, your brushstrokes are a lot more apparent. Even the color palettes are so different. So I think for going into a dare being like, I really want to explore and try something new, you've gone above and beyond with that, because you're truly attacking each piece as their own and seeing what you can discover, which I think is so fabulous and such a great way of, because that's what the art dares are for, right? It's to like try something new, engage with something that you don't normally do. So yeah, it's wonderful. Like this one feels like it could be from a children's book. Another one feels like it should be in a museum. Like, you know, they just all have such different energies to them.
I think, Lisa, the wings in this one are amazing. You can really feel the sparkle, the translucency. There's so many colors, and then this beautiful flowing dress that she's wearing. And then also the background is so luminous, but without getting in the way of all of the sparkly parts, which we're so enchanted with. This one is so great. I mean, Lisa, I've seen a lot of your work in art club and lots of other places, but I think it's hard to construct an interior space with lighting and windows and having this giant eye looking in. It's so many elements to balance. But I think, Lisa, you did a great job because the eye immediately draws me in. And then it takes me some time to figure out everything else. But even like this is a little sliver, like just a little bit of green on the right hand side. And you understand that that is this massive dragon that's back there. So, one thing that's great about this piece, Lisa, is that you've snuck in little pieces of visuals to help us understand the scene.
Yeah, and I think the play with scale is so fun too. Just like all the details you've included, the little tiny chair, compared to like the fact that the chair, the little side table, and the rug are all smaller than the eyeball is just, it adds such a level of humor to it, which I think is really wonderful.
Zach is asking, are the dimensions listed somewhere? They're not, but maybe Lisa, if you want to share us some of the sizes of the pieces, that would be great. We can also do it in the Discord Discord chat, which we're going to do right after today's live stream. George says, object in the windows is closer than it appears. Apologies to the Far Side. Who remembers the Far Side? Oh my God, I read so many of those books over the years. Also, thank you, Slepnir, coming through with the pun every live stream. This is my kind of trolling. It's just fantastic. Okay. Oh, here's another one by Alisa. What do you think about this one?
Again, like I would never think that this is by the same artist that made that fairy one we were just looking at. It's just so cool how varied it is. And I mean that with like such a great compliment because it just is such a great way of exploration. And I love the shapes in the background. I think in a lot of these pieces, you're doing such a good job with creating pretty like complex and heavy detailed backgrounds, but doing such a good job of not having them distract from the foreground. It's a really great example of how depth can be you can still have complicated things in the background for depth, but as long as the foreground is still catching our attention and including itself in that atmospheric perspective, it all works.
10,000 Crows says, Lisa, these are beautiful. DB says, great showcase of your skills. Love those bearded gnomes with the cheese. I know I want to eat that cheese. It looks really delicious. Okay, the next piece is by Liz Welsh, and this is Liz's first art dare. So happy for you to join us. This piece is made with alcohol inks, ink markers, and Posca markers, inspired by the myth that fireflies are fairies. So Liz says, I imagine one trapped in a firefly's form, once a fairy, now a flicker of light. She awakens under the moon, her form shimmering for just a few fleeting hours, longing for the curse to lift.
Wow, I love the artist statement first and foremost. That's such a beautifully written artist statement, which is a skill. It's not really easy to write those. I think the luminosity that you captured in this piece is so incredible, especially because with a theme like fireflies, we kind of expect that glowy, mystical feeling. And the fact that you've captured that within the fairy and in these tiny little details is so successful. I think you've done such a good job with color palette and evoking that emotion that you write about in your artist statement through the colors and the textures.
I think the colors are so rich and luscious. And what's fascinating, Liz, is that there aren't that many colors in this painting. Most of it is blues and greens, but they do a great job of showing that variety. I mean, one of my favorite things, also the wings here, the way that you drew all of this detail in here, the way it's got these like glowy edges, but this bluish interior. You're using just a few colors, but creating such an incredible range of variety. And Deepti, I just love how goopy this is.
Yeah, it reminds me of like almost like the Nickelodeon like Kids Choice Awards like slime. Like it just has that like really satisfying goopiness to it.
And then I love that the fireflies are all different sizes. That's a
Mm.
very small thing that I'm bringing up, but I think it really gives the piece a lot of depth because we look at a firefly that's up here, this one's pretty big, and then look at how this tiny one, it's much smaller and it's a little bit darker. And so we're able to see really well that depth that happens. And I think that's pretty important in a scene like this where we're trying to show, okay, the fireflies are going all around and the fairy sitting there. And I love this spot in the back. It almost looks like a
Mhm.
geode.
Yeah, it looks like a crystal or like I don't know, it's very enchanting. I feel like it's such a I don't know, like seemingly improvisational mark, but it does add so much to the fairy as a whole. It adds a lot of like questions of like, what is that? Is that like lava or slime pouring down her hair? What is it?
DB says, I love the colors and the way the trees in the background are integrated into the piece. Oh, that is some sweet atmospheric perspective, Liz, going back into that distance, getting blurrier, getting lower in contrast. And Brian, I will be old with you when I say this reminds me of 80s kids' shows with the green slime. That seems like something you would like, Deepti.
Like flubber? Is that kind of what you're thinking of?
Just green slime everywhere in the kid
Oh,
shows.
okay.
You're a little too young. Okay, the next artist is Moss Hellerman, who says, I really tried to lean into my childhood memory of trolls as big, friendly creatures. I used oils and some colored pencils.
This is so beautifully done. I think the way in which you've made this big troll feel friendly and warm through the gesture, through the color palette, through the expression on the face, through the composition. It's just really, really, really successful. And that little space that the gnome and person or fairy are in just feels so warm and wonderful. Like I want to join them in that little cavern. But I think you've done such a great job with character design, specifically making this seemingly large. And, you know, there are a lot of elements of it that probably would make it look more like ogre-ish, but you've done such a good job of making this character feel warm and friendly. Even that purple glow around its head is giving us a sense of warmth and friendliness.
I just love that this is a different take on trolls because our first thinking with a troll is that, oh, this nasty, disgusting creature that is going to be really mean to me. And how lovely that this is such a kind, gentle, soft troll. I mean, it really feels like he's like nourishing these people, he's protecting them. And that's something I really haven't seen before in terms of trolls. And you know something, what I really like, Deepti, is the moss and the
Mm.
grass. Like, doesn't it look like it's really like in his figure? Because sometimes I think when we add things on top of figures, sometimes it just looks like, oh, we stuck something on the face. But this really feels like it's in the face.
Yeah, the blending of it and like how it comes out feels really natural. And I think it's even more successful because it's not so heavy handed. Like, it's not like there's so many details that we have to tell exactly which every single blade of grass or like the texture of the moss, but you've done such a good job of being descriptive enough so that we can tell that this is like the grass and moss of the ground coming into this troll's body.
Also, the way, Moss, that you're directing our attention to that really bright, glowy light, but
Mm.
then it's just this huge mass that is surrounding that little pocket of space. And for me, this really has a great sense of depth. I mean, it's different than, say, what we saw in Liz's piece. We're not seeing as much depth, like going way, way, way back. But the fact that I feel like, okay, there's a space up here, there's a space in the middle, there's even this rock, which I feel like that rock is right in front of me. So I really do feel like I'm in the scene. So really wonderful piece. I think just a lovely scene that you set. Selena says, this one is so cozy and comforting. George says, looks kind of like a Buddha.
Mm.
DB says, nicest troll I ever met. And June has two comments. Love this. That troll is so warm looking. I feel like this picture puts viewers in a magical, warm spell. Well, thank you everybody for those wonderful comments. Okay, next artist is Divya, who decided to make a party. Divya did not want to choose between all the different kinds of creatures. So she says, I created a party for them, and it's the troll's birthday. They're having a party near the glowing tree, and everyone is enjoying. I created 5 fairies of 5 elements: wind, water, fire, sky, and earth.
Oh my gosh, this one's so fun. The character designs make me smile so much. The like yellow person at the bottom, like they're all just so cute and silly. Like I want them as friends of mine. And like what a great way. Like yeah, look at the joy oozing out of that one on the left. Just like even the posture, like leaning back with the banjo. It's just like so well thought out. And I think if you want to include everything, a party is the best way to do it. So yeah, it's just and I love the glow, like that center glow that illuminates all of them and the stars in the night sky. It has such a warm, whimsical feel to it.
Well, I love that there's so much of the night sky in this piece because you really get the feeling of, okay, it's like a dark night and you've got the stars glowing at the top. We have this one tree to give us more context, and then the glow of that blue fire and the bright luminous green. I think sometimes when we have a composition with a lot of figures, we can feel like there's no room for the background. But Divya, I think the way that you've clustered the people together, I think that makes them interact even more. And it just really sets the scene. I think that's something we've seen in all of the pieces today is people aren't just drawing, oh, hi, Mirchi, what's happening over here? Are we getting a cat bombing?
He just cat bombed us. Blink
He
and you'll
didn't
miss
say
it.
hi.
He'll probably come back. He's like, I don't know what he wants right now.
Or is he gonna not
He's walked
cooperate?
off, but he's literally right here.
Of course, the second we want to see
Yeah.
Mirchi, he doesn't want to come on. Randy says the night and the glowing green tree reminds me of Earthbound for some reason. Well, I have no idea what Earthbound is. Do you?
No, Earthbound. I have no idea. Do you know what it is, Michi?
There he is. We're getting a little ear. We're getting a small sliver of Mirchi.
He's shy. He's camera shy. It's been a while since he's photo or video bombed one of these.
Okay, next artist is William Wentzel, who says, I just love doing the art dares. Tell us in the comments if you've done an art dare in the past. What do you like about doing them? Because I've seen people grow so much, trying all the different techniques, doing different subjects. And Deepti, I think there really is something to be said about everybody doing the same prompt, but seeing all the individual responses.
Yeah, it's so cool how something seemingly simple, like an art dare prompt, can inspire so many different kinds of results. And it goes to show that like it's impossible to make the same thing twice if you're genuinely making it from a place of, your truth as an artist.
William says, I was never one for myths or fantasies, so this was a nice change. And this is titled The Absinthe Drinker's Friend. It's done with crayon and pencil on paper.
I think one of my favorite elements of this is the wedding band on the hand. It's such a simple kind of gold ring on the hand, but I think it tells us so much about this hand of the person. And it adds so much to the narrative just from someone who's like always thinking of like, how can we simply show things or add clues for the audience to think of like what the larger meaning is. I think the wedding band and like the fingernails are pink. I don't know if it's nail polish or just the pink of the fingernails, but I think there's some really cool little elements added here and there. And I have to say the creature on the hand, the hair is so delightful to me. It's like the way in which like the wind is so aggressively, or maybe it's like hairspray. I don't know, but there's just something so nice about like the pokiness of the nose and how outstretched the neck is, and then the hair like flying back. It's just really satisfying.
And the ear too. The ear
Mm.
looks like a thorn almost. Like
Yeah.
it has this sharp edge, and then that feels like that shape is replicated in the hair. But then another thing, William, that you did is the roundness of these wings. They look really soft and squishy, and so then you have this like really harsh spiky thing on the left-hand side, and that's just such a great contrast in the piece. I also feel, Deepti, that this piece has a beautiful, transparent, almost ethereal quality to it. Like even the hand, which, okay, that's not a fairy hand, it looks like a real person's hand, but even that has this very like soft, tender color to it.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with how William dealt with the materials. Like the line work is so delicate, the colors are so delicate. The lines even like fade in and out in some areas. Like nothing is too heavy-handed, nothing is too bold. And I think with topics like this, which feel very like mystical, magical, that kind of brushwork and line work works so well because it has that kind of ephemeral, fairy-like quality to it.
Blue Wren says, I wasn't expecting such an interesting diversity of interpretations with this prompt. It's delightful. And Selena says, I love the art dares. It's so fun creating essentially a group show every month. Seeing how everyone interprets the prompt and encourages each other is just lovely. Oh, I love that idea, Selena's, of the dares as a group show because it's
Yeah.
absolutely everything's related the way a group show would be. Okay, everybody, we've got some prizes to give out. The honorable mention goes to Moss Hellerman. Congratulations. And the prize winner is Lisa P. Congratulations, everybody, for your wonderful work on the art dares. We're always so proud of you seeing what you create. Guess what? We have an unboxing. Actually, you have several. You guys gave me all these cool things for my birthday. So I
Oh my
have this like stack. Give me a second. They're right over here. I'm so excited. This is way better than anything else. You
That
know how
is so much.
people get like bath products for birthdays? That's not as good as this.
No, the only thing Clara ever needs is art supplies.
Which is absurd because I've got way, way too many. Okay, let's see what this is. Oh, I think it's paint. Yes.
Yay!
We have Daniel Smith Quinacridome Purple. Look
Whoa,
at
what
that.
a name. Quinacridone. Cool.
This is a color I've never used before. And in fact, I don't really think I use quinacridones that much. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to try out this color. Plus, Daniel Smith, oh, luxury watercolor. So I'm very excited about
What a
this.
brilliant gift.
Yeah, and the gift is from Jill for my birthday. Thank you so much, Jill. Okay, next one. Ooh, feels similar. I think I know. This is it's Van Dyke Brown. Yay! The browns I typically have on my palette are burnt sienna and burnt umber, but Lauren has been raving about Van Dyke Brown, so I'm very excited.
I was gonna say, Lauren's the person to nerd out with all this. These are, I don't know anything about these, but they look really fancy.
Well, it's bad because everyone in this community is an art supply enabler. Like you'll come into the Discord and people are like, I'm thinking about this. And then there's like 5 people who are like, buy it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You can't even mention what you're thinking about because people will be like, I love it. You gotta get it.
This says happy birthday from Chantel. Well, thank you so much, Chantel. We have, ooh, this is like a box. Let's see. Oh my gosh, it's the QOR watercolor set.
Oh my god, you're going to be making some, you have to start churning out some watercolors.
I do. Well, this is a watercolor set that I've never used before, this particular brand. And you know something, the conservators at the Gardner Museum. This was one of the brands that they used to do the paintings. And so ever since I went to their conservation lab, I've been super curious about these. Yeah, so tell me in the comments, have you used QOR watercolors? Have you used Van Dyke Brown, quinacridone purple? Because I can take all the tips. Okay, ooh, this one's like a box. Okay, we have to see. Oh, I feel a box. Oh, I feel multiple boxes. Okay. Somebody got me the So Flat acrylics. These are made by Golden. And my understanding is they're sort of like Flash, which is a vinyl-based paint. This is one of the acrylic paints that I've never used before. So I'm really curious how this might be different or similar to the Flash paint. So
the colors seem like they're very vibrant.
I know. And there's still more stuff coming, but I want to make sure. Oh, this is from Erica. Thank you so much. I can't believe you aren't 50 yet. I am so old. Oh, look at this. Liquid graphite.
You love liquid graphite.
Well, I've used liquid charcoal, and somebody mentioned this to me. I've never used liquid.
You've used a lot of liquid charcoal, yeah, but you've never used liquid graphite. That's exciting. I'm curious when you use it, what the main like similarities and differences will be.
I didn't even know this existed. Somebody just told me. Oh my gosh, it's the kneaded erasers in the super cute boxes. Somebody told me that the boxes don't close very well, but I just like the idea of a cute little case.
Oh, you have to save those cases. I feel like they would be amazing to use for something else.
Well, let me see. Oh, look how cute that is. See, it's like a little
you could even put like little earrings in there after you're done using them.
I know. This looks super cute. Thank you, Erica. Okay, we have another one here. Ooh, I see multiple things. Oh, we have another liquid graphite.
Oh,
fluid graphite is
amazing.
What it's called. This is from Cherie. It's only fair that you get a gift you actually asked for. Okay, cool. Oh, look at this. It's got a cute little
That's an amazing bag. Wow.
Okay. I see it. I feel a box.
Oh, more happened.
Oh, it's casein. I've never used casein before.
What is casein?
You guys have to help me. It's like a milk-based paint.
What?
I think it's sort of like gouache. Maybe one of you guys can explain to me what casein paints are, but James Gurney, who does a lot of gouache paintings, he does a lot of casein stuff.
Okay, I've never heard of that. There are so many materials out there that I've literally never heard of.
I know, there's so many. Okay, this is from... Oh, this is also from Chantel. Oh, look at this. You guys... Love it.
More.
You know, actually, I really need these like I have so many kneaded erasers. They're like hard and gross.
Oh yeah, I feel like you're gonna plow through those.
Yeah. Oh, Randy has them. Very cool. Slate uses Van Dyke Brown as a black, and it's very warm. And oh, it's pronounced core. Okay, not QOR. Jen says that they're low pricey. And Cece says Van Dyke Brown is great for some skin tone. Quinacridones are usually vibrant colors you can't mix that are great for intense colors such as flowers. I love the whole range of pro acrylics. Well, I'm going to have to ask you guys in the Discord to help me understand all of these new art supplies because, you know, Deepti, when we were in art school, it's like we were on a budget. We didn't try all these supplies.
Oh my God, no. How would we be able to? We were paying so much to just be present at school.
Right. But that's why I think it's really fun and so generous when you guys send me these supplies, because then we can make all these videos about these supplies that we don't want to buy because we want to find out first if they're actually going to match what it is that we're doing. For example, Tara got me these art text acrylic paint markers, and I'm doing an art club live stream on that next month. Okay, let's talk about the July Art Dare, which is to create tiny art. You're going to create an artwork in any media, 2D or 3D, that measures no bigger than 2 inches by 2 by 2. How do you feel about making tiny work, Deepti? Because I feel like I should do this art dare because I'm so bad at working small.
I like working small. I think it's so cute. Like, I think it's so fun. And, I think it's really fun if you aren't used to working small, because it forces you to kind of think of your work in a different way and take your time in a different way. Like, you think because it's small, it's going to happen faster. But actually, I think it takes so much longer because you have to be so precise, and one wrong move and the whole thing can go wrong. So you do have to actually rewire how you normally work if you work larger scale. So I think that's really cool.
I went to the Tokyo National Museum, and one of my favorite things is seeing the tiny little things from ancient times. They feel so personal to me because if you have a tiny artwork, physically, you have to get up close to be able to see it better. And I love how often they have these walls that just have all of these objects arranged. This was one of my favorite things. There were all of these tiny rocks. They're probably like this big, but they all had writing on top of them. And I just thought they were such beautiful little objects that every single one, like, it's hard to see in the photo, but this one has a big letter on it. And I just love how we change our engagement as opposed to when we see a 6-foot tall painting.
Yeah, definitely. And there's also just something like precious about it. It feels like quiet, it feels secretive, it feels like there's like a different energy to pieces that feel so small. Do you know what these were used for?
I can't remember. I probably have the museum plaque somewhere, but anyway, I just think they're beautiful objects. And this is my favorite thing.
So cute.
So this is a turtle from the 5th to 6th century from Korea. It's stoneware from the Three Kingdoms period. And I just love that this is in a museum collection because, I mean, seriously, it was like this big. And this was somebody's thing that they made in the 5th century.
So cute. It's truly so cute. And the fact that it's that old and has standed the test of time is really crazy.
And we have Salinas. I know you have this in the bag. You've made so many beautiful. Salinas has been doing these tiny plein air pieces and also paintings on bark, which is so wonderful. Oh, and George says casein paints were used to paint barns red in the olden days. Oh, I didn't know that. Jen says, I've been trying to draw smaller and it keeps growing anyway. Well, this is a reel that I just posted today because I went to Derek McLean's scenic design studio in Manhattan. And although these are going to become Broadway sets, which are gigantic, they spend so much time making these tiny little models to figure out how the set design is going to be made. So this is from the MJ musical. And I found it very funny, like, Man in the Mirror. So they had all these mirrors that they were like arranging, and they were telling me like, yeah, they didn't have stands at first. So we added these stands, and then we added these wheels that, like, I could not believe the detail they put into these.
How cool. That's just so awesome. And also such a great way of like thinking for such a large scale stage, Broadway, like how to make it starting off that size. It's almost like doing a thumbnail for your painting or something. I think that's so cool. But they feel like final artworks in their own right. They are pieces of art in their own right.
I just love this shelf because if you open it, it's just thousands of pieces. And you see how this one's labeled sofas and couch. So if you go through, he has them organized like kitchens and beds and cars. I just think this is so amazing. Look at this is a drawer just of tiny windows.
That's so cool.
Question from Brian, who says, does it have to be that size or can it be just small? It's what Jen said, just can't be bigger than 2 inches by 2 inches. You can do it any size. Okay, another tradition is there's Pakistani miniature painting that is so, oh my gosh, like incredible craftsmanship. But Shazia Sikandar, what people are really fascinated by her work because she is somebody who has training in traditional Pakistani miniature painting, but she's a contemporary artist and really has created her own contemporary interpretation.
Yeah, this is awesome because it definitely has those cultural roots to it, but there is something like modern and contemporary about it. I think partially the border design and I don't know, like something about the themes or motifs feels modern, which I think is so cool. But it reminds me a lot. I mean, I'm Indian, not Pakistani, but there are a lot of similarities in the art, and it does remind me just like the details, the kind of floral patterns, the use of texture. It all feels very similar, but with a contemporary spin.
Randy says this is the anti-Jeff Koons art tear. That's terrific. And what an interesting point from Jen, who says there's a woman in my community who does miniature paintings and says they don't get the same respect as large pieces, at least where we live. Oh, yeah, that would be a great conversation for all of us to have in the Discord because I definitely have seen in the fine art gallery area where it's like, if your painting's not over 10 feet tall, people think you're not a real artist. And I think that there's a real incredible impact that tiny art can have. But I think sometimes artists are up against that, which I think is really unfortunate. Oh, whoops. I didn't update the slide. No, the Art Dare Leap is not to draw 4 celebrities. It is to create 6 pieces that are tiny. So you guys can take a look at that. I will have the real information posted on the Art Dare page when it's up. But hang out with us in the Art Dares channel in the Discord. This is also where you can submit, but we do also have a Google form. So don't worry if you're not in the Discord. But Deepti, this is my favorite thing is to open up this channel every day and see the progress throughout the month.
Yeah, it's so cool to also just see what other people are doing. You can get feedback on your art there if you want. But it's so cool because like there is the big celebration at the end of the month of the art dares, but it's also really cool to kind of see what people are doing while you're in progress and generate ideas and talk to people about how they're attacking the prompt. And, you know, it's a process and you get a whole month to do it. So it's cool to be a part of the conversation during that month.
We also love to share your work on Instagram. So if you want to do an Instagram story and tag us, we're happy to share your work. After today, how come we're so big? Whoops. The emojis are too big. Anyway, we are going to be doing a Discord live chat right after the stream ends. Just go to the left-hand side. You want to scroll down until you see live streams, and we're going to be in the discussions channel. And if you don't know, just ask somewhere. In general, chat is usually a good place to ask, and I'll show you where that is. On artprof.org, we do have the Google form. So you're going to want to go in the menu bar underneath Learn and Create. You want to click on Art Dares, scroll down on the page, and then you guys will see we do have this Google form that you can submit if you want. Elmer says the model kit nerds shall find the art dare they excel at. That's perfect. Fantastic. All right, everybody, remember to subscribe to join our global art party, and we will meet you guys in the Discord for a live chat. Bye.
Bye, everyone.